My name is Tarek El-Yuri. I'm the Sustainability Manager at USEC. I'm joined here with Abby Rennie, the Director of Sustainability at USEC. And we are really excited to present and train on the relaunch of the USSES.org site, which will provide greater transferability of certificates to customers. To kick things off, I'll go over the agenda. Abby will be discussing or will be stating the antitrust statement. She'll provide a brief introduction to the SSAP and transferable certificates. Then we'll go into some background information about the SSAP and transferability. Then we will go into the system and look at how to create a customer account, whether that's from an exporter, created or independently created by a customer. We will look at how to log into the system, sign the terms of use agreement. We will look at the customer dashboard components to familiarize everyone with that. We will look into how to add your own customer from the customer dashboard, creating a customer certificate, and accessing Help Center resources. We will close things off with a Q&A session. I will allow all of the attendees to be able to speak during that period so that we can have a really great discussion as to the updated transferability within the site. And then we will close with closing remarks. So with that, I will turn it over to Abby to read the antitrust statement.
All right, hello everyone. It is the policy of Soy Export Sustainability LLC to maintain strict compliance with all federal and state antitrust laws in the conduct of all aspects of its business. Soy Export Sustainability LLC will not permit or participate in any anti-competitive activities. There shall be no discussion or activities for the purpose of arriving at any understanding or agreement regarding price, supply arrangements, the terms or conditions of sale, purchase, distribution, volume of production, territories, or customers. There shall be no discussion or activity for the purpose of preventing any person or persons from gaining access to any market or customer for goods or services, nor any agreement or understanding to refrain from purchasing or using any material equipment, services, or supplies. There shall be no discussion or activity that may be construed as forestalling or limiting research and development. We, of course, expect your full compliance with these guidelines, both while in attendance at this meeting and at all times and in all matters relating to the topics discussed at this meeting. Well, with that, thank you all for joining us. We are very excited to introduce transferable certificates. We will be showing you, Tarek will be showing you a lot of a website that you are not familiar with yet, but we hope that you will find great use in it. And the website will allow the transfer of SSAP certificates. So in the past, SSAP certificates, as you're likely familiar, were issued only to the exporter name. This new functionality will allow for the transfer of those certificates 4 levels down from the exporter. So this is in response to customer requests that they want to be able to show their stakeholders that they are committed to sourcing verified sustainable US soy, and we are happy to comply with your requests. So we're very excited to roll this out. The site went live yesterday evening. Exporters have been trained on the functionality of the site. And then today we're sharing with customers how to use the site. So this is recorded. It will be available for viewing later on if you have colleagues that weren't able to participate today. And Tarek will go over where to find that. As I said, he's going to demonstrate the site, go over some background information. You'll notice at the bottom of your screen, there is a Q&A and chat section. If you have questions as he's going through the presentation, and you want to jot them in there so that you don't forget as we go along, and then we can address those at the end at the Q&A, we're happy to do that. So feel free to use either of those options at the bottom of your screen. So Tarek, I will turn it over to you.
Great, thanks, Abby, for that introduction. So as I had mentioned, we're going to go over some background information as to the certificates in general. One of the things that we have the ability to do in creating certificates is to create not only soybeans, but products of soybeans as well. And we can process those within the certificate. So essentially, if an exporter, for example, ships whole soybeans out from the United States, they can also transfer a certificate in meal, in oil, and in hulls. We have the processing conversions here displayed on the screen, and the system, the site itself, automatically converts those amounts. So you won't have to do that manually. So the system will do that automatically. So also, we wanted to mention the time to issue certificates. Our marketing year is September 1st through August 31st. And we want to, and this is important because this will determine the sustainable allocation that we have for that year. And the timing that we have to issue a certificate from the time the exporter ships a volume out from the United States to the last customer receiving that volume is 180 days after that first exporter certificate. Some additional information here is that products available for customer certificates are limited based upon the exporter certificate. For example, you cannot issue a customer certificate for soybeans if the exporter certificate was for soybean meal. So essentially, you cannot go process in reverse in terms of the products. Another thing to note is customer certificates that cross region lines from destination of the exporter certificate will require approval from SES, from an SES admin. So in this example, an exporter certificate had the destination of Germany, but then the customer has a destination of China. Because those two, Germany and China, are in two different regions, we would want to take a look at that to see that there isn't anything odd or inaccurate going on there. And then lastly, in the system, and I will show you this briefly, there are limits to the visibility of the chain of transferability. So essentially, customers can only see their seller's information and the direct customer's information on certificates and on the dashboard, and they can't see the entire chain of transferability of that soy. So let me stop sharing and reshare the site so that we can take a look at that.
We can see it, Tarek.
Thanks, Abby. So I think the way that you all would most likely interact with the system is through an exporter. So an exporter would most likely provide you access to your system and to your registration. So the email that you will receive once an exporter has set you up in the system initially will look like this, and it will say your company registration is currently pending approval. So it lists your company and the information around your company, your email, and then once SES and SES admin approves your company, you will then receive an email with your login credentials. Essentially, and you can use these login credentials to log into the site. So that's the first way of having your your account set up in the system. Another way of having your account set up in the system would be if you go to the site itself, and you can click, so this is the home page of the site. You can click register, and you can click customer register. And from this page, you can check whether you're already a customer in the system, whether your company is already a customer in the system. As you can see, if you are a customer in the system, it will show up in this drop-down menu. But if you're not, one moment. If you're not a customer in the system, you'll be able to, let's say, customer company 88. So this is a customer that we want to register independently in the system. And as you can see, there is no drop-down. Therefore, we can go ahead and register this company. So what I'm going to do is go under company information, and I'm going to type in the company information. Put in the address. I am putting in the name of the customer. And the email address. And then I'm going to click submit. So after I click submit, that information, then you will go back to your email address, and you will receive a pending an email that looks exactly like this. A registration has been received, and then an SES admin will then approve it, and then you will receive an email with your information. So going back to the system, upon logging in, so let's imagine that you have been approved in the system, and you receive your login credentials. So I'm going to log in as a company after I receive my login credentials on my email. Sign in as a company. Go to log in. The first thing that you'll be prompted to do is sign the terms and conditions document. To do that, you'll sign that directly within the website. you'll click, you'll just follow the prompts, and then you'll start, and then you'll sign this document. You'll adopt a signature. And then you'll finish. And now you have regained access to your dashboard. So this is what the dashboard looks like. Let me log into a customer with more in-depth information on their dashboard. So let me relog in to show you the components of the dashboard so we can go through it. All right, so what you'll see on your screen is you'll see a few tables. You'll see a customer transfer in certificates. So these are the certificates that your exporter have transferred to you. Or an exporter or another customer along the chain of transferability has transferred to you. You will see a customer transfer out certificates. Those are the certificates that you have transferred to your customer. And you see a products info table with transfer in certificates, the deliveries that were made, and a balance of those certificates. Other things to point out in the system. So if you, for example, want to change your password, you can go to My Profile. You can click on, and you have a few options here. You can go to My Profile, you can see your company details. You can also change your password here. You can also add users to the system by clicking on the Users tab from the side panel. Here you'll be able to, you can see that you have one user in the system, but you can add a user by clicking the Add User button. You can put their first name, their last name, their email address, their phone number, whether they're the approved signatory or not, whether they can receive emails, and the account type. The account types that we have are customer viewer, customer user, and customer administrator. So you can select from those three types. But navigating back to the dashboard, I wanted to walk you all through and also something to note that you can also export a list of all of the certificates that you have received from your exporters, and all by clicking on the Export Transfer in Certificates to CSV button, or the Export Transfer Out Certificates to CSV button as well. So you'll be able to get a list to a CSV file with all of the certificates that you have in the system. What I want to demonstrate first in terms of operability within this dashboard is adding a customer in the system. So we now have the ability to add customers, can add their customers. As Abby had mentioned, there's 4 levels of transferability for customers down the chain of transferability. So if I wanted to add a customer so that I can create a transfer out certificate, that would eventually appear in this table, I will click on Add Customer from the left side panel. I would check whether that customer is already in the system. And to do that, you would just type their name. So as you can see, if the customer is already in the system, they will appear in this drop-down menu. If the customer is not in the system, and we're going to try to demonstrate that now. As you can see, there is no drop down that appears, therefore that this is a brand new customer in the system. So I'm going to create this customer. And I'm going to put Abby Rennie as the customer contact just for demonstration purposes. So that was the process of creating a customer. So what the customer will receive is they will receive a similar email to what we see here. That the registration is currently pending approval, and upon approval, you will receive an email that looks like this. Your customer company registration has been approved. So let's transfer a certificate. To transfer and create a certificate, a transfer out certificate, you will click on Customer Certificate Add, and we already have a shipment in the system, right? So we wanted to select our certificate that we want to transfer a volume. We want to do an existing customer. We want to select the date, the delivery date. We want to select the product. So let's call it soybean. And as you can see, soybean meal. And as you can see, it provides the amount of soybean meal that we can transfer. But let's do, then let's do, so. And you can also put in the contract reference or any notes in here as well. And then you can press continue. And as you can see, you can review that transfer. So you have your shipment details, you have your customer certificate number and the date of transfer, etc. And then you'll be able to select your certificate signatory, which is me. You'll be able to preview certificate, and I think this might be appearing in a different menu. So let me stop sharing and reshare to show that. So here is a preview of the certificate that you will be transferring to your customer. It includes the name of the seller representative, the customer name, the certificate number, and also it includes the product, the metric tons, the amount of metric tons, the date of delivery, the date of certification, and the vessel as well.
Hey, Tarek, can I hop in just real quick to point out something on the certificates?
Sure.
So the certificate number, there's nothing, there's not a specific number yet because it has not been finalized, but in the lower right corner, there's also a certificate code. Once the certificate is finalized, you'll have both a certificate number and a certificate code. Those can be used on the site for a reverse lookup, just to verify that a certificate is accurate, that it's not something that somebody made up on some type of software, that it's not a duplicate certificate or something. So you can reverse look up certificates using that number and code.
Great. Thanks for that addition, Abby. So once you're comfortable with this proof of the certificate, this preview of the certificate, you'll be able to go back to your main screen. So let me stop sharing and reshare. You'll be able to go back to your main screen. You'll type your electronic signature. So I am Maria Sanchez. And then finally, you will finalize your certificate creation. So now that the certificate has been created, in our dashboard, we see that we see that that has been created here, and you see the transfer out certificate. To view that certificate, you can click on view details, or you can view the certificate itself. And again, it may have, let me share my screen. So this is what the certificate looks like. Stop sharing and reshare the dashboard. All right. So that was the process of adding a customer within the system, of creating a transfer out certificate, and that way, and like Abby had mentioned, you can transfer, you can transfer a certificate four different times to four different customers down the chain. Abby, is there anything else that you think would be important for the audience to hear?
No, I think that covers the all of those features. So hopefully you'll find it easy to use.
Great. So if you have any questions, you can obviously on the operability of the site, you can email us at sesadmin@usec.org. We also have a help info center tab here in the left side panel, where you can click on and you can get access to the user guide and to the training videos that will be uploaded to this tab. If you experience any bugs within the system, you can directly report that to our development team by clicking the report issue button in the lower right hand corner. And by doing that, you can select the exact area within the site that you are experiencing the issue, drag and drop so we can identify it exactly, and you can say, this is a bug, and then you can report that bug to our development team like this by clicking submit. So that is just an efficient way to report any issues in the system. And of course, Abby and I are here to support all of the customers in the early stages of this rollout. I look forward to hearing your feedback as to the operability of the system.